They always told me I was the quiet one. And they were right. I was quiet when my parents compared me to Daniel, my golden brother. I was quiet when they praised his wealth, his charm, his future. I was quiet when he stole the woman I was supposed to marry. But silence doesn't mean surrender. Silence is a blade. I remember the day I walked in on them, Daniel and Clara, my fiancé, my brother's hand on her waist, her lips trembling between guilt and desire. My parents didn't flinch when I told them. My mother actually smiled. "At least it stayed in the family," she said. My father clapped Daniel's back like he'd won a prize. And I was left discarded, humiliated, erased. That was the day the quiet stopped being weakness. It became calculation. I left the city for a while, built myself from the ground up. Law, investments, patents. Every sleepless night I sharpened myself into something unrecognizable. When I returned, I didn't come back for revenge. Not yet. I came back with Elena. She was everything Clara pretended to be. Gentle, loyal, brave. She saw the cracks in me and didn't turn away. She stitched them, piece by piece, until I felt whole again. And when she told me she was carrying our child, I thought, maybe I could forgive the past. But the past wasn't done with me. The dinner at my parents' house was supposed to be a celebration. I stood beside Elena, her hand resting on the gentle curve of her stomach, my chest swelling with pride as I said the words, "You'll be grandparents." I expected silence. I did not expect violence. My mother's face twisted, my father's eyes narrowed, and before I could react, her hand shot out and struck Elena's belly. Elena staggered, gasping in pain. My mother's voice, sharp as a blade. "No, the first grandchild must be Daniel's. Get rid of it." The room spun. My blood turned to ice. I held Elena as she trembled, shielding her from the monsters I once called family. That was the final cut, the moment my patience died. What they didn't know was that I'd been preparing for years. I'd built my empire quietly, hidden beneath the shadow of their golden boy. Every deal, every investment, every contract had been woven into a net with Daniel's name on it. He thought he was clever, using my company to launder his mistakes, signing documents without reading the fine print I slid beneath his pen. He signed his empire over to me, piece by piece, and he didn't even notice. The night after the dinner, I moved quickly. Lawyers, journalists, hidden recordings of my parents' cruelty, their obsession with Daniel, their disdain for me. I had it all. I'd been patient, documenting their words, their insults, their blind worship. I had proof of every loan they forced me to cover, every time they stole from me to fund Daniel's failures. I didn't need to destroy them. I just needed to let them destroy themselves in front of the world. The stage was set 3 weeks later, my parents' anniversary party. Their mansion filled with investors, politicians, socialites, people who still believed the myth of our perfect family. I walked in with Elena on my arm, her strength radiating through every step. When the speeches began, I asked for the microphone. The room hushed. And then I played the recordings. My mother's voice echoed through the grand hall. "The first grandchild must be Daniel's. Get rid of it." Gasps, whispers, faces turning. My father's pale silence. Daniel's fists clenching as though he could hold back the tide. And then my final strike. I unveiled the documents, his signatures, his empire transferred into my hands. Daniel wasn't just dethroned, he was bankrupt. And my parents? Complicit. Their wealth, their pride, their legacy, all bound to a sinking ship with my brother's name on it. But that wasn't the twist that broke them. That came when the doors opened. Clara walked in, pregnant, not with Daniel's child, no, with another man's. She'd left him, stripped him of the last illusion he clung to. And she stood beside me, not as a friend, not as an ally, but as proof that even his stolen prize had rejected him. My mother's face went white. Her hands shook violently. The crowd's whispers became knives. Frauds, failures, monsters. Daniel lunged at me then, but security held him back. Spit flew from his mouth as he screamed. My father tried to silence the room, but no one was listening anymore. They were watching me, listening to me. For the first time in my life, I was the one with the voice. That night, I walked Elena out of the mansion while chaos consumed the house behind us. I didn't need to look back. I could feel the empire crumbling. Daniel lost everything: the woman, the money, the reputation. My parents lost their pedestal, their worship, their legacy. They had gambled everything on their golden son, and I had turned him to dust. Elena asked me if I regretted it. I told her no, because revenge wasn't the point. Justice was. And justice doesn't shout. It doesn't scream. It waits. Patient, precise. And when it arrives, it leaves nothing standing. They always told me I was the quiet one. They were right. But now they know. Silence is the sharpest blade.